I'm Alicia.
Hi, I'm Jazzy.
And I'm Sarah, and we are the Girlies that read. Okay, so today we are jumping in to Quicksilver by Callie Hart. This book is a dark fantasy following Saeris Fane, a gifted thief from the harsh desert city of Zilvarin. I'm going to stumble over these names. When a theft goes wrong, Saeris accidentally opens a portal to the frozen realm of Yvalia, home to the mythical Fae. There she becomes magically bound to a powerful Fae warrior named Kingfisher. As Saeris navigates a dangerous world of magic, politics, and betrayal, she uncovers the true extent of her abilities and confronts powerful enemies. Now, I really loved this book. I pushed them both to read it. And I'm not sorry. I had a really good time with this book. And I know opinions do differ on this one, but I'm still looking forward to our discussion on it. Because I'm like, we've discussed it briefly, but I'm looking forward to hear more of like the parts you liked, the parts you didn't like. And I'm excited to talk about my favorite parts as well. And I do have critiques for this one. Unlike, like, I gave this a high rating purely for vibes. I had fun.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it is not a masterpiece by any standard compared to some of the things we've read.
Yeah.
It's very basic, but I'm not mad about that because it also means I didn't really have to think.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to read. I don't want to have to go, okay, where's this plot going? What's happening next? What does that mean? What's this? What's that? I just
That's what you do.
which is very much
Yeah.
Alicia vibes. But yeah. So I'm looking forward.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you?
I have a few thoughts, mostly good thoughts, but
Mostly.
No, like genuine, mostly good thoughts. But there would be things that I would change. Like, I really enjoyed this book, but I feel like this book could have been so much more. And it has potential, depending on where the next book goes. But yeah, I feel like, and again, I'm not discounting Callie Hart's work. It is a good book, but like, I just would have done it differently for like a more experienced fantasy reader, romantic reader. I would have changed some things. That's my thoughts.
Yeah.
What do you think?
First 400 pages, man. Why? Why? Just why? I would say, why?
And that's where we're going to wrap this up.
Done.
First 400 pages. I remember I started this book when, like February.
Yeah, you did. That was your first attempt, yeah.
And I read 20 chapters, which is a decent read. And then I stopped, gave up, got back into it about 3-4 months later or something like that. And then read the whole thing in like a week. But it still took me a week. While a book that size should only take me like 2 days, 3 days max. It's because of the first 400 pages. I just think that it was... We've discussed this before. Splitting that book into 2 books would have made a huge difference for starters.
That's exactly my thoughts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because there was a reveal and then there was something else and just things kept happening and I was like, but that last 150 pages was really worth it, and I do think that I want to read the next book because I think it's finally taken a change for the better, and for something that interests me as a reader. Like, I really like the politics of it, when gods and like religions and like other powers and outer things come into play. I really enjoy that stuff because I feel like I can be a little bit more nitpicky, analyze it more, and that's just something I enjoy. But again, for vibes, I think this book is great. It's just the first 400 pages or so.
A lot.
Felt so dragged out. And I don't know if this is everyone's opinion, but to me, it was just like so like we were just going from one location to the other. And I was just like, I don't care. Like, why are we moving so much and nothing's happening? And it wasn't until like the 4th location where this new enemy comes into play. And we were like, I did not expect you. Who are you? And what are you? And why are you here? And I didn't plot in that this is the genre of the book.
Surprise vampires. Yeah, surprise vampires.
What?
Definitely not an aspect I think any of us expected to show up.
I read vampires. I sent you a photo and I was just like, is this just, what is this? Is she just like, I honestly thought it was a derogatory term for like another face species. I was like, she's just making fun of them. Turns out they were actually vampires. I was like, what? This book just took a turn for like, what happened? Like, there's not a mention of blood-sucking vampires because there was a mention for blood-sucking fays. Well, there used to be They used to feed on humans back
Yeah,
in
they
the
had
day.
like a blood curse or something.
Yeah, so I just assumed these would be fae that drink blood.
No.
Why vampires? Where?
But they're evolved from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they
Yeah.
started off as fae that drank blood,
Yeah.
which it gave them more power and blah,
And
blah,
then
blah.
the guys
And then
wanted
as
to-
those fae
Yeah.
turned mortals and other creatures into vampires, the
Yeah.
vampire species grew.
No,
Yeah,
I
as like
agree,
an-
but it's the term vampire that threw me
Yeah.
off
Yeah.
so
It
bad.
didn't. That was one thing, and it is actually one thing I did note down was that it did feel very odd.
Yeah.
It felt like an odd supernatural element.
Yes.
Because in my head, I see supernatural and fantasy as two different topics.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
this just like halfway went. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Liz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like fae is kind of like in one area,
Yeah.
and then like vampires kind of sits with like werewolves and ghosts
Yeah.
and ghouls and that type of very supernaturally
No,
vibes,
I
right?
was gonna say,
So
but go
like,
on.
so for me, like even though I loved it, it was when it happened, I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe it's just
Your
because it's
reaction
the
was that's interesting. My reaction was
I
Well,
sat
I
here
kind
like,
of saw it. I kind of felt like the vampire thing was going to come up because they were talking.
Really?
They were talking about it, and there was mentions of like blood curse with the fae and whatnot. I was like, maybe not vampires specifically,
yeah.
but I was like,
But
there's going to
something
be another
similar.
layer
Oh,
with
yeah,
this type of
definitely.
like curse that's going to come along. And then they're like, it's vampires, and I went, oh, okay.
Yeah.
no
Okay, cool.
worries.
Okay, let's go. Let's see what happens. And then
Yeah, go.
you get to the end of the book, and now she's like Saeris becomes the half
A
vampire
hybrid.
queen.
Who's Klaus Michelson?
Yeah, pretty much in female form.
Oh my god.
Actually, maybe she's more like Hope. Like maybe she's actual tribrid. Because she's-
Hope.
Yeah, she's a tribrid. She's
Human
got
as
multiple
well,
going
yeah.
on.
Oh my
She's not
goodness.
just two. She's like three. Like and it was not where I saw it going.
No,
like I kind of
no.
thought something obviously would happen, but her like suddenly she's like go queen. It's like
Yeah.
wait what?
Yeah,
Why
it's a
is
very-
she suddenly in the middle of politics?
Yeah.
Interesting ending to then set up the next book.
Yes, and I'm very interested to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, vampires was definitely not on.
Bingo card.
Yep, for this book.
No.
No.
Speaking of two of my favorite things, Supernaturals, the TV show with Sam and Dean.
In that order.
Either or. And how they have like, okay, that also took a turn for like angels, demons fighting Satan, like what's going on by the end of it. But like, it's gonna be like different mythological creatures. You're
Yeah.
set up for
Yeah.
it from the start. But
You're expecting.
yeah, and the other thing I love talking about is the mortal instruments.
Huh.
I don't think we've made it through an episode without you mentioning either one of them at least once.
No.
Anyway, that one as well. It's got fairies or fae of their kind, vampires, warlocks, and werewolves.
Mm.
It's got these elements, but it's set from the start, so you know what to expect. And
Yeah.
even with like other books that we read that have like magical creatures, like you can pick clearly like what genre this is going into because there will
Yeah.
be like multiple creatures that have a similar kind of origin. But this was like faes and vampires out of nowhere, and every other thing that's mentioned is like the fire spirits and the water spirits. So we're expecting the vampire thing to be just some bizarre Griven taking inspo from Sparkle
Yeah.
kind of thing. You know, like something
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
completely
yeah.
out of there.
Well, then they also added in
And I'm
witches.
Witches.
Edward Cullen.
But didn't elaborate on witches.
No, witches got a very, very brief overview. I'm
yeah,
I'm
but it's
assuming.
going to dwell into.
I'm assuming. Yeah,
I think
it's gonna.
so.
That's gonna expend more on that aspect.
But witches still like make sense to me because I'm like
Witches, I feel
yeah.
like have more place than vampires.
Vampires.
I can't. Like all that's going on in my brain is Edward, Emmett, Jasper. That's it. There's no other thought right
Yeah.
now.
I actually did find that whole river thing was a bit.
Odd.
It was interesting.
Why was their fighting battle strategy just melt the fucking ice? Like, or
That's what they
ice
were
the
doing. They
ice
were
up.
like,
Well, no, I
destroying it.
get the ice strategic in the sense that the river, the current is too strong for anyone to cross.
Vampires
So-
are dead.
But the foot soldiers that were getting sent across weren't just like vampires.
They, had
Yeah.
been,
They were like
turned.
like the type. So
Like
like when you have like
humans
the
and
different
stuff.
level of vampires, you've got like the vampire, like the strong top guys, and then you've kind of got the vampires in the middle, and then you have like the foot soldiers, which are like
That's what
they're
these
kind
were.
of like mindless drones that just want to kill.
Yeah.
And that's what's being fought. So, like,
Yeah.
they can waste those numbers because they're very easy to repopulate.
Yeah.
They can just turn whoever.
Yeah.
And so, for them, they're not going to have the logical brain capacity to be able to just swim. They're just going to fall into which is what they do, and then they get swept away because it's so strong.
Yeah.
But I'm also sure it's pretty much implied that even if one of the Fae were to fall in, they would go as well. Like, it's that
Maybe.
strong
I
a
can't
river.
remember.
And from my understanding, like, it's quite a wide river. Like, it's massive.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a little stream that you could just 1-2 hop over.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
So because like it's just purely for the fact that the whole place is a frozen wasteland. Well, favorite part of the book, I don't even know. My favorite part is probably Carrion.
Yeah.
Carrion very quickly became the love of my life in this book.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And he's just, I don't know if there's something about him. I think he's supposed to be
Personality.
annoying. I think he's really supposed to drive you nuts, but I found him hilarious. And every time he
And
was
logical.
there, annoying
Yeah.
the crap out of Saeris and Kingfisher. And I'm just like, yes, you go, baby. You keep going. You annoy the crap out of them. And then when, like, he's got some great lines. Like, the moment where he comes back and Saeris is like, did you serious? Like, you've been in this realm for not even a day and you've already had sex with, like, some
The
type
water
of
spirits.
water
Yeah.
sprite. And he's like, well, I don't discriminate. And then later
Next
on, she's
minute.
like, you can't be attracted to this Fae. She's an absolute bitch. And he's like, I like someone who's rude to me. It makes my dick hard. I was like, this is it's just great lines. And it was so funny.
No, there was that
Because
part.
he's not taking anything seriously.
No.
And then when you get to the very, very end of the book, and it turns out,
Yeah.
but it turns out he's actually the previous
prince.
Fae royal family
Yeah.
that was overthrown. He's the missing heir that was smuggled out to keep him alive. And he's just like, this whole time, like, no shit's given. He's like, hey, joke's on you. I'm actually really important.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
And it's like,
people introduce themselves next time.
Legit.
but it's just like, but nobody ever thought, like, this idiot is going to be probably one of the most important people in the
No.
story. He's just an absolute moron who's there to provide comedic relief, to drive Saeris crazy, to cause, like, some tension, because I was like, we know Kingfisher gets really, really possessive over Saeris and forces Carrion to have a bath because he stinks like her, and he doesn't like the fact that he smells like her, even though they had sex months ago, which that was a little bit for me. I was like, that's a weird. She still smells like him,
we just
but
need to stop getting guys to be able to smell girls being horny.
Oh,
To
yeah,
me,
true.
that whole trope is just like, ugh. Like, ugh.
it's meant to
And
be.
it's not just him; it's everyone. I'm like,
It's
oh,
because
that's
Well,
of the
I feel
Fae
like
senses.
It's a Fae, yeah. That's very much like a Fae thing. Fae are meant to have such
No,
heightened
stop
senses
it.
that they can smell that. But that's also the thing, though. It's not just Fae. It's vampires. It's werewolves.
All of
It's
them.
all of those type of, like,
not in the
magical
mortal
creatures.
instruments.
Mortal
Well.
instruments wouldn't have that type of stuff anyway, because it's YA.
It's better than everything.
So anyway,
I do like it, but I disagree with that comment. There are many things that are better than Mortal Instruments, but we're not discussing that today. Maybe one day. Have you read them all?
nah.
It's like 40 books.
Okay, if she ever got
I haven't
into-
read any
even
of
if
them.
you just read the main series.
I don't think I'd survive at this point. Sorry.
Oh.
I don't know.
Favorite character, favorite moment,
Character.
favorite line.
I don't even remember what I wrote.
Were you just glad that it was over?
What did I
That was
write?
part of it.
Okay, no. I have a thing. My favorite part was actually towards the end of the book when they were in the, like, labyrinth.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I find that really interesting. I wanted to know more about it because
Yeah.
it's like, well, Kingfisher's been stuck in this labyrinth for, like, what, like 110 years or whatever it was?
Yeah, like a really long
Like-
time, yeah.
Like ages. And I'm like, I want to know more. Like, why was he there for so long? And what kind of struggles did he face in there? And then all those plot twists were really cool.
Spiders.
Was there? Oh yeah, it was, like a
Another
big,
thing-
it was a big spider.
Every time, I keep saying this, every single fantasy world has friggin' monster spiders in it. Why can't we just skip that? They don't need to exist.
That was the first
But all my
one, right?
favourite
Phantasma?
series, not the first, no, the first thing she runs into is the ghoul in her bedroom.
No, but like, haven't
But
you
then
got
she
into
can't-
spiders in Phantasma?
Well, one of them. She came out of the first trial and the table turned into,
Yeah.
like, creepy crawlies.
That
Spiders
sounds
started
horrifying.
coming down
Anyway.
from the ceiling.
Continue.
Sounds horrifying.
Oh, it gave me the shivers.
Yeah, but
But
that's
it's also, it's actually a horror, so it's meant to.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like spiders are already scary. Why do we need to make them giant?
Yeah, I know. Like Harry Potter. Like, look, I've loved Harry Potter since I was a child. I still can't watch the second movie. I have to, like,
My favorite
I
one.
literally, I know what's happening. So like, I've watched it so much, I know what's happening. But I literally sit there with my face in my hands or buried in a pillow, and I wait till I know it's over before I look back up because I can't deal.
That's
And
fair.
same thing, Lord of the Rings. And the third movie,
Yeah,
they
spiders.
friggin' that. Yeah, there's a.
You've not watched Lord of the Rings?
No, I have. I'm
Oh,
agreeing.
okay. I thought.
Oh, I thought you said you hadn't seen it. So that's sorry.
I've seen it.
Actually, no. With Ryan as a partner, I think she would have had to have watched it.
I've seen it like a few times.
And then what else? What else is there? Throne of Glass.
Spiders.
Massive fucking spiders.
But lots of them.
Literally end up being friggin'. She's like the queen of the friggin' spiders. Like what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
They're not technically spiders,
But anyway.
though. They're something else. But that's besides the point.
Um,
But they're all friggin'
Spoilers.
massive arachnids. It's not a spoiler. Not really. She has no idea who I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Anyway,
But yeah, the point is we don't
lots
need.
of spiders.
Okay, I'm talking to you, authors. No more spiders. I'm writing my own fantasy. There's no spiders.
No spiders.
Not like maybe the tiny house ones, but they're irrelevant.
Yeah, they don't get mentioned.
No spiders.
No spiders.
Sorry.
It's
Your
okay.
favourite
I've
part.
I've totally
I-
lost my mind.
I have some very strong feelings about spiders.
I don't know. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I can't talk over that. Anyway, Alicia.
I think there were two parts, but they're kind of like part of the same thing. That was my favorite part. Was the whole debacle about the coin flip, and how they manipulated Kingfisher into like just catching the coin. I was like, perfection.
So
That is
smart.
exactly what I would have done if I was evil.
Yeah.
Perfection.
Which is
and-
probably a good thing.
Yeah. And the other thing I really loved to see was the fact that all the vampires, or whatever the Death Eaters equivalent,
The foot
blood
soldiers.
suckers,
Foot soldiers.
that they were all from Kingfisher's town, who were burnt and were continuing to burn, and he's basically fighting the people he's supposed to protect. And that like got to me. I was just like, that is like so hard to live
And they're
in.
all the people that actually got slaughtered were in the
Yeah.
crowd
Yeah.
around. That was
Like probably like kids and stuff as
Yeah.
well. Like to
And that's who
be
he's trying to protect.
to
horrible,
be
yeah.
the person who's supposed to protect these people and to gamble their life in order to protect them, but to be like manipulated,
Yeah.
and then live for 110 or so years in that labyrinth prison with that guilt constantly taking over his emotional state, with the Quicksilver.
It's no
taking
wonder.
over.
It's no wonder he's crazy.
No, of course.
A little bit insane.
And then going through the entire maze and like getting to the point of the coins and just seeing a billion coins and leaving
Yeah.
no stone unturned is like, it's insane. Oh, I wonder, because there was a point at the start of the book when Saeris had entered the Fey realm.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know the name of it. Will not try to pronounce it.
Yavella.
And what's the sister's name? Evelyn.
yeah, it is Evelyn.
Evelyn.
Oh, yep. He's. I'm like, which sister are you talking about? His sister. Yes.
His sister,
Evelyn.
who's like a secret
Evelyn.
sister.
Yeah. Evelyn introduces her to the Fey god, and she was like, "This is the god of chaos," and we had to speak to push her away, and that's who she ends up meeting at the end of it,
I love that.
which was incredible. But to
That's
see
actually
that,
another
like,
thing I didn't see coming was the god element. I didn't.
I expected that.
I didn't.
Because I was like, fantasy,
didn't,
God,
yeah.
religion, bring the gods. But that, like, it did take a turn for the crazy when it was like interweaving, timelines.
Interwoven, yeah.
Yeah, timelines.
And also the realms.
Yeah, and
the
he was
different-
like almost weaving like
yeah.
the new, because it's like, it almost feels like they're just pawns in a play.
Yeah.
And they're like puppets being controlled, and like they're just trying to watch from atop like everything unfold. But to see that like he's the god of chaos, and I think it was mentioned the god of chance or something as well, and the downfall of Kingfisher's army being a chance, a game of luck.
Yeah, very tied in.
Like I was just like, that is perfection, and I wonder if that god did not interfere with Kingfisher because he actually did, in the sense that he put Saeris away to see if they can be brought back.
Well, it said he tried to remove them so far away, but
Yeah.
they still
Yeah,
found each other.
which is like, I just loved that element of it,
Mm.
and that's why like I will read the next book. But that's the only reason why, because the rest of their love story, I was just like, man, why do you like her? And then like them revealing towards like the end that he has a whole book on her, and I'm like, you could have hinted to it at like some point. I was like, I don't even know.
I will say, back what you said earlier about it dragged on. I do think that there's a whole chunk of it that could have just been left out. So because there was obviously a lot of the
chemistry?
middle. Pardon?
Yeah,
Doing
alchemy
chemistry.
and whatever.
Yeah. So the whole alchemy thing with her attempting and failing, attempting and failing, attempting and
Over
failing.
and over and
I feel like
over.
rather than jumping between multiple forges, because the jumping between the different forges had no benefit. It wasn't like at different places she learnt different things from that particular area. It was just like a whole, well, there used to be alchemists everywhere, so there's abandoned forges everywhere that you can use
She's a
when we're in
different kind as well for some reason.
She's more powerful and can do more stuff and whatever.
But like, so what I think what could have been done to kind of help with the pacing of it is you could have kept the initial forge in the first city where her and Kingfisher have their first like kind of like they butt heads
the
and
Winter Palace, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. And then so like she finds her pet fox, which I also love the fact that she's got a little pet fox. It's so random. It's not needed in the slightest, but it's a cute little detail.
I put a note down and I said it's very Disney princess companion vibes.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It really is.
And
It's got the sassy little personality
Normally
to go
we're
with
used
it.
to like dragons and gryphons. Fox.
And she names it Onyx and puts it in a backpack.
Yeah, I know.
When she named it Onyx, I was like,
Onyx Storm.
damn it. Another one.
At least
eyes are darkening next with golden flecks.
Legit.
This time it's silver flecks.
but
Quicksilver.
but yeah, so like we could have taken that element and rather than jumping between all the other forges, we could have started it there. And then still had the moment when Kingfisher goes, "No, we're leaving. We're not staying here. We're going to his house or whatever." And then just had all of that part of the trial and error in the one forge. And it could have been the element of he had to travel her back and forth every day to the forge because he wanted her at the campsite or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like the jumping between all the different forges was just not needed.
No.
If there'd been like an element where at each forge she'd learnt something from that particular forge because something had been left behind, whether it be like an engraving in the forge or
Whatever
something
it was.
about it, it would have made more sense. But there was literally, all it was a forge. And she did the same thing at every single forge.
Yeah.
And so it felt really unnecessary for that to happen.
Yeah.
And that way I feel like you could have cut out a whole bunch of the unnecessary, oh, we're in a new location, there's this forge, it's here, blah, 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 blah.
But then
It's just preset the one forge, and that's the main forge she uses, and goes back and forth. Because there's also there's something, I can't remember, again, I read this ages ago compared to you two, but there's something about being able to, like, the forge that they go to at his house is not close by. Like, she steps through a door, and it technically teleports her to the forge, which is some distance away, even though it's connected in his
it
house.
was to keep it safe in case anything like exploded, I guess, or whatever.
Well, yeah. So why could that not have just happened the same way from the camp? Like, why couldn't she have... Because what I'm saying, so there's that element that also could have been utilised for her to jump between the one forge.
He did explain that it can only be to places that he's been to or seen, but he's been to it, so he
Or
could
like
That's what I mean, right? So, like, there was that opening to just use the one forge. You didn't need to keep having the different forges. And that would have also helped. And because I also feel like Quicksilver was also very heavy on the world building, and she was spending a lot of time between these different places because they're going to be, well, I think they will be utilized
Later,
in Brimstone. So rather than waiting to Brimstone to set them up, she's kind of gone ahead, you like set them up previously by going, oh, we're going to go here, 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 and going, okay, now you kind of know the lay of the land, and now when I come back to them later, you already know they're established.
Exactly.
But you don't need to do that.
But that's my hope in, like, we've done all this world building, surely it'll pay off.
Yeah, like if it's worth it, like don't get me wrong, like I had fun time reading the whole thing, but I think like for yourself you struggled through the first start of it because it was very, very just kind of not much was really happening.
Nah.
It was kind of like, okay, we're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over for 200 pages.
Sorry.
I don't know, like I don't think like art personally, like I don't think it was that much of it.
It was at least
because
200 pages.
The first like 150 pages I feel like was very much the setup of the whole story of her starting in the desert city, screwing up, ending up facing off against the queen of that city, then meeting Kingfisher, getting established in the Fey realm, learning that what she is, like what ability she has, the forge thing, and then they could have gone from that to his manor without all the other hullabaloo.
Yeah.
And because also the other thing I realized with that starting point is they were establishing the relationship between not only Kingfisher and his sister, but also building a relationship between Saeris and Kingfisher's sister.
Yeah.
So that when she gets kidnapped, it's
important.
It's important because if there's no establishment of that relationship, because obviously she stays behind,
Mm.
later on, okay, Kingfisher cares, but there's nothing like for Sierra. Like Sierra's obviously she cares about Kingfisher, but the level of her like being like, okay, no, we need to help would be very different. So I think there's reasons for why she's done certain things,
Yeah,
But I don't
but I
think
think it could have been done differently
Yeah.
to definitely shorten the book, or as you mentioned, break up the book into multiple to kind of let it flow a bit differently.
Because I think like with the world building point, I feel like it was done for so long, but I didn't learn properly about the civilian
Whatever.
address.
The Desert City,
Yeah.
just call it the
I
Desert City.
didn't learn much about that one, and I didn't learn much about this. I kind of just got like a glimpse of both. Like that was my problem with the world building. That I'm like, it's building, but it's not getting to a point that I'm like
Invested.
invested or
Yeah.
understanding or liking either.
I feel like I got invested in the Desert City and then suddenly we were gone.
You're gone. Yeah.
I don't feel like I did because I was like the point that when it should have been interesting when we learnt about the queen, but we met the queen and then like immediately out into the Fey realm.
It's what I mean, like it was such an abrupt all of a sudden when
Very
you're no longer
quick.
there, we're in the Fey realm.
Like the whole like her stealing a gauntlet and all that stuff. I was just like, yeah, okay, that's the premise, but I haven't learned anything about the city itself.
Yeah.
Like we could have almost like the first half of the book could have been like the setup for her
Yeah.
going
Yeah,
into
exactly.
I agree.
the Fey realm rather than jumping straight there at the beginning. It could have been more of a setup of maybe even like going back as far as like to her mum dying, and that's kind of the catalyst that sets this all off, because it kind of is, because now her and her brother are fending for themselves. Like that could have been more of the catalyst that propels it forward and then leads to the moment where then she ends up facing the queen, and we could have experienced more of the guard and the queen previously, not get that small glimpse and then never see her again until the very end of the book, where we learn that
She's in on it.
all the three like rulers, like Fey King, mortal
I
queen
can't even
technically,
remember any of that because I was
and
like 3
vampire
sentences
king.
and done.
Yeah, it was
well, they're
very,
all
very quick.
siblings.
No, not that. Like the other locations that you can enter through the Quicksilver and the trades and stuff.
Yeah,
I
no, we
would
didn't
love
go
to
into
know
it.
more about
Oh
that.
yeah, that too. Yeah, the travel between realms. I think that will open up though. That
It will.
It's going to.
It will.
Because
Yeah.
if you have that type of like tool element in your story, it needs to be utilized. You wouldn't just
yeah.
like, oh yeah, you can go to all these different realms, but then never go anywhere.
Yeah.
You would be like, even if it's accidental when she's like learning to use her Quicksilver, I guarantee at one point she's going to fall into a Quicksilver and teleport herself to a random place. And she's going to be like, how the hell do I get back?
Yeah, legit.
Like, I feel like that's something that's got to happen at some point.
I mean, that's what happened in the first one.
Well, she didn't fall into it though. She opened the portal and Kingfisher came through.
and then took her.
But
And
like,
then took her back
She
through.
opened it. That, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but what I mean though is like she's going to be like learning to control it. She's going to be trying to do something. It's going to go very wrong because she still doesn't know what she's doing, because no one's there to teach her. She really is basically on her
learning
own,
herself.
unless some friggin'
Old
other
guy.
alchemist she's gonna, or maybe that'll happen. She'll run into some random old alchemist that's in another realm who's been stuck there for so long because the Quicksilver was frozen or blah 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 blah.
Maybe
And he'll be like, I'm here to teach you.
It'll be like a Mr. Miyagi vibe from like Karate Kid.
Wipe on, wipe off.
Yeah, it'll be like that.
But it's like with Sparkler and of Everflame, like how it was set like the Guardians and the Descendants and then the mix of all the islands. I feel like Quicksilver had touched on both the Fae and the Desert City and like didn't do that too well for me. But that was why I found the first part of the book so hard to get through, because I'm like, I just don't care at the moment. But I did like in the Fae realm where they went through the woods and there's the souls that are like still stuck there, and it makes sense that the souls become quite bitter because these Faes live on forever.
Yeah.
That was like I was more invested in their journey at that point rather than their destination, which was
Actually, I
crazy.
liked that element too. I thought
But
that was really
again, like,
that was
I really
clever.
wanted to know a bit more, and then like when they go to the bar where there's the bartender who goes up to the wolf is here and whatever, and like you can see the amount of respect these have
Have
Book the
Yeah.
Finisher and
Yeah.
so much love, and you can see how much guilt he's holding, but you don't know why yet. And Saeris is just like trying to put two and two together. By the way, Saeris is an annoying freaking so annoying. She's
little
just
bit.
always complaining the whole time. She's just
You
shut
really
up.
you don't like complainers, do you?
No, I can't. Like her in the whole book, I was just like, I loved Carrion mostly because she was so annoying, and he's just like calm and chill and just managing everything, and she's just losing her mind every 2 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
Or fighting with
Yeah.
Quicksilver. I'm like, you're fighting with a metal. Just calm down
Yeah.
for 2 seconds. But yeah,
I do think it was funny that the Quicksilver was talking to her, and they're like, "Wait, what? It's talking to you?" She can hear it has a voice, and they're like, "Okay."
Yeah, and it's like, okay, no worries.
She
but
crazy.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the woods part where I would have loved to know a little bit more and more and more to develop into that. Like those small little things that actually have an impact and like leave a
The
impact in
lasting
your memory.
impression, yeah.
So important. But instead we're freaking mixing like sodium with whatnot and seeing
And then
if
she's
we
like,
can make
that
alloys
doesn't
and-
work. Next one, that doesn't
And I was
work.
like, since when are you
That
a
doesn't
chemist?
work.
What is happening?
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the I suppose it's meant to be difficult is that she's basically just she has to start from scratch. She has nothing to help
Idea.
her.
But Carrion says this towards the end, which I feel like, I don't know. I mean, any reader would have this pretty much
He's
immediately.
been around long enough.
Yeah. Carrion said this towards the end of the book. He was just like, the Quicksilver forced you. Just talk to it. And that's what I've been saying the whole book. I'm like, why won't you just ask it to mold? Like, you haven't tried that yet. And she didn't try that the whole book. And I was just like, and then she tried it after he said it. And I was like, was that really the easiest fix? Like, because I thought that they didn't do that because it's too easy of a fix. And that is the fix that she just asked. And he was like, oh, yeah, cool. Okay, give me your song. And
Yeah.
we'll go with it. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Well, I suppose it could be kind of linked back to something of like when we overthink things. That's just like a natural human thing. Like,
Yeah.
our first instinct very rarely is to go, oh, let's try the most basic option ever.
Because it probably won't work.
Yeah, because why would we waste our time? Of course, that's not going to be it. So
Yeah.
you avoid considering that at all until you kind of, as you go, I know I'm an idiot. I should have done that all. It's like
Yeah.
when you lose something. You look everywhere but the most obvious place, and that's
Yeah.
where it is all the bloody time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, so I feel like, yes, she should, like, okay, it was very obvious. Like, you should have just talk. It's friggin' talking. Talk back.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
it does seem obvious, but at the same point, in her situation, she's like, I'm working with a mythical element I've never understood, never
Yeah.
heard of before. Yes, she's done some metal work in the mortal realm, but obviously metal
this
work
is
in the mortal realm
different.
versus Quicksilver, very different.
Yeah.
Why would she think, I've just got to have a conversation with her? But
I'm
also,
not blaming her.
no, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that at all. But this is just how, like,
Yeah.
when I've been reading and I've like gone through it, this is how I've kind of seen it. So which I did, because I didn't find Saeris annoying.
Yeah.
I found her, like, she was very
Stuck.
yeah, and she was also like freaking out as well
Hmm.
because she when she first arrived, obviously she's woken up and last thing she knew, she'd been arrested, was about to be killed. They were after her brother. She didn't know what had happened to her brother, and then all she wanted, she goes, I just got to get home.
Yeah.
And that was her only focus.
Yeah.
And then she's being told, no, you're not going anywhere. You're going to try and learn how to manipulate this metal that no one else can control. You've never heard of before. You're stuck with all these strangers, and that's the only way you're going to get home is if you do what I want.
That was her fault, though. She didn't read the fine print.
Again, the fine print. But
Yeah,
like, you see what I
true.
mean? Like, so like I understood the whole time when she was very like distrusting because
Yeah.
she doesn't know these people.
Yeah, at all.
She didn't even know Fae were an actual thing. She thought they were a legend, even though she'd been sleeping with one previously.
Yeah, she didn't know that.
No, but that's the thing. Like, I agree with everything you've said, but up only until her and Kingfisher get together. After that, it's fair game to just believe and try, because it's not the fact that it was just talking to the Quicksilver that worked. It was the fact that that was the fix to it all.
Did you feel like it was very
It
basic?
was so boring to me. That's
Fair.
my problem.
Fair
It wasn't
though.
Saeris. I'm not talking about like the actual
Okay,
character
yeah,
itself.
yeah.
I'm just talking about the plot point, like it being like her just talking to it.
Yeah.
I was just like, there was nothing, no riddles, nothing interesting.
Oh,
of
it could have been like
sorts.
something a little bit more complicated, like so
Or
she
something
had to
like-
infuse her blood or
or like
something
whatever.
like
literally something like you reflect into yourself
yeah.
and admit that you're a fae, or like whatever, like
Yeah.
confront some truths. Or
There was
something
no
like that.
real like
There was
progression
no
to
stakes
it
or
was
anything.
pure luck
Not even
that
pure
she kind
luck.
of worked out.
It was literally the fact that that point of the plot they needed Quicksilver to work, so they made
So it did.
Quicksilver work.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I
No, I
Because
agree
I
with
do
you.
feel
Yeah.
like I do feel like a lot of the trial and error that went through, she wasn't making any progress. Because, like, normally, like...
To be fair, she was trying the same thing.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, and obviously when you have no one to teach you or no, like, but like method to... It's like with cooking. Also, as baking more. Cooking, you can kind of just chuck it in and you get something out. But baking is more of a science. You have to be very careful with your measurements and what you chuck in and what order you put stuff in. So you can't, well, you kind of can, like, depending on what you're making, but if you don't really follow the recipe, you're not necessarily going to get what you're after. You might get a version of it. It probably won't be great, but, like, you know.
Not.
So, like, if you're coming in, like, if someone turned around to me and went, make a cheesecake, I'd never made a cheesecake before, had no idea what used in a cheesecake.
You'd get, like, a sponge cake and just put cheese on it.
Maybe it's just... Yep, a cake laid with cheese slices. Like, you're not going to get the same effect. You're never going to know because you have no guidance on the subject. And so the trial and error thing, she wasn't making any progress.
Yeah.
And I suppose the only other way you could really introduce something that would help that progress is like a clue,
like a mentor
or a hint.
Whatever.
Well, like, and I feel like mentor wouldn't work because the alchemists are supposed to be wiped out. They're gone. They don't exist anymore.
Even the clue was just Carrion saying, "Try talking to it."
Yeah, like no, it's something because I'm agreeing with that fact that it was very basic. It was very much a plot-driven moment, not like a discovery moment.
Yeah.
And it could have been something that
bigger.
And there's also a possibility that she just didn't want to overcomplicate it because I know sometimes with some magic systems or whatever it be,
we have vampires.
True.
I know, but like what I'm saying is like sometimes
surprise
like, you
vampires.
have all these elements, and so like if you have too many different elements, it can become so overclogged and things become confusing. So for
named
something,
after this element.
I know, but this is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
Is that maybe perhaps that's the reason she kept it so simple, is because she wasn't trying to overclog everything. Yeah. And if there were no vampires and there were no witches and it was just fae, then you could, like, she would have gone into something a little bit more in depth with the Quicksilver, made it a bit more complicated, made it something more magical.
Yeah.
But then again, there are things about Quicksilver we don't know. Maybe
surely.
her version of
100%,
and the way she manipulates the Quicksilver is different.
Well,
because
now that
she's meant to be
a hybrid tribrid situation.
Whatever's
absolutely.
going on.
Yeah, but like it's possible maybe because like we mentioned before, she's meant to be like very powerful for an alchemist. Maybe the old alchemists didn't actually do this. Maybe they did it a different way. Maybe there are multiple ways to manipulate the Quicksilver, and this is just her unique take on it.
Yeah.
And I hope we do meet more alchemists. I hope that does pop up in Brimstone, and maybe I don't know how many books are meant to be in the series.
This book, we've talked about splitting it into 2 books, but I think this book, again, I talked about the potential that it had. Like, it, to all my Throne of Glass girlies, all Throne of Glass readers, I love Throne of Glass. So, when you give me a romantasy book that has fae and portals,
we've had this conversation previously.
There's meddling gods, and then there's fae bargains, and then there's witches, and then there's vampires. Like, I'm sorry, I can't not compare it to Throne of Glass. That's my love.
I got a whole series of messages of her going, "Did you not realize the comparisons?" And I went, "Oh, nah." Didn't even click.
Like when we were reading Cold I'm like, she's read the Hunger Games. She's read Girlies.
Yes.
She's read Throne of Glass.
Yeah, it was like that, but it was all Throne of Glass coded. So to me, this book, I was like, this reminds me so much of that like comfort series.
Yeah.
And I just love Throne of Glass. And like, no spoilers, I won't say anything about it. But there are so many.
But you can't compare it to Throne of Glass, really.
No, you can't. But that's the thing. Because I've read Throne of Glass, I'm like, that is it's not just one book, it's a whole series.
7.
And there's a lot of books. But that's what I wanted. That's what I want this to be.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I would have split it into 2 books, like you said before, and really, really get into like the human world and the politics. Heck, I'd love a map for the human world.
Oh, yeah, that was one conversation we really did have, was the fact that the map was shit.
The map was only for the Fey world, and it, like, we went to like 4 places. Like, yeah.
Like, I remember us having this conversation actually, like we all did.
Yeah.
Did we all have? Were you part? I don't
remember.
now. Were you a part of the map conversation?
No, I
she
video
messaged me
sent,
about Throne of Glass,
and I didn't
being-
want to send spoilers because I was giving very direct parallels.
Yeah,
No, that's fair.
and
Sorry.
that whole conversation, I was just kind of like, I did not pick that up. And
There
I've
was-
read it more recently than she has.
Yeah.
Straight out of my head. But no, the whole map situation, because I remember like the whole desert city part when like she's talking about the different levels and the walls, and I'm like, it really would have been really cool to have a visual of what this city looked like, because obviously what we picture versus what she's trying to depict could be very, 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 very different.
Like we spend 10 chapters there. Like, can we not get a map?
Yeah,
please.
Like we get maps for like, I get having a map for the Fey Realm because clearly we're spending
The most
majority of our
time.
time there.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you got like, it wouldn't hurt to get one for both.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you chuck it at the back of the book as just an extra bonus page, like it's not like vital to the story,
It's not
because
the main map,
because it is just one city, but it's enough. Like we go into enough detail of the city that I feel like it deserves something.
Exactly.
And because I feel like we jump back between like the different spots a little bit. Because at one point I got a little bit confused with the city description about where it kind of was
in relation to other cities,
in relation to other parts of the city.
Yeah.
So not the location of the whole city. But she was she was in one like ring, like the upper class area,
like
and then she
ward
was
or something, or
whatever they
ring
were
or
called.
whatever it was.
Third ward.
And then she was back in her ward, and then I was like, hang on. Where do these wards actually sit? Because initially when she's talking about the wall, I'm kind of like pitching like a city of rings, and you literally have like upper class, lower class,
I was
middle class,
like
lower class, like disgusting class. But then I kind of like, hang on, maybe it's not quite like that, and it's more like a section.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't really certain.
Yeah,
and
like
so
a
I was
grid
like,
system or something.
Yeah, kind of. And then I was like, that's when I was like, I could really do with a map to kind of give me that understanding. But then also we left, and I forgot all about it until we had that map conversation. I went, that actually would have really helped.
It was very important.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, yeah, a map would have been great. I would have loved to have known more about the human realm. I mean, you said it before. We could have spent half the book there, or like a certain chunk of it. So the first half of the book, you know, kind of happens, and then it's like surprise vampires. Oh my gosh, surprise vampires. Second part of the book. I'm like, I would have split it there. I made 2 books. And then plotted it very differently, like you said.
The vampires could have been its whole own
that could
series.
have been.
And then probably her becoming queen of the vampires wouldn't have been so weird.
Exactly. So you have that time through the first book to go back and look at who.
Made friends with some of them, or had a
Or
relationship
whatever.
with the second
Because
heir
she's
or
been
something.
chucked into the vampire realm with like no connection.
Yeah, literally.
Just because she killed him, like the vampire king, and now like by their laws she's now queen. But all we get at this moment is that vampires suck, like basically. Like
except one of them apparently.
Yeah, and so there's no like point where you're like understanding enough of the vampire realm to really get it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I feel like we could have had almost maybe even
like foreshadowing little bits and pieces, like when they were at the Winter Palace and when she's with Evelyn and the other like library scholar dude. Like they didn't spend any time, or they spent a little bit of time going into the history of their realm.
Yeah.
But they were like, no, we've got to focus on the Quicksilver too. So it's like if you split it into 2 books, you could have gone into more history and world building.
Her whole like study that like you need to learn. They kind of forgot about when they left the city and they went to Kingfisher's place. It was kind of like, oh, it's important, and they went, nah.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
So we could have had the first book be her come to the Fey Realm. She's in the palace. Her and Kingfisher have a slow burn romance while she's trying to work out the Quicksilver. She's getting history lessons from Evelyn. And all that, and she kind of sees more of the discourse between Evelyn and her dad and the tension between the king and Kingfisher, and we learn more about what's happened with the whole fact that his mum is Evelyn's mum, and that they don't talk about the fact that Evelyn and him are related, and all that type of drama.
But then
they could have had tension which forces them to leave, and that's whatever dramatic thing happens is what propels them to go to Kingfisher's place, and that would be the end of the first book.
Yeah,
and then the second book you come into it and they're traveling to Kingfisher's, and then they've got the battle and the river and the vampires are introduced, and
it gives that really second and fresh wind to it,
because then you're expanding on the world again and you're seeing more of it, and then there's the new twist of the vampires now also added into the scenario, and then we could have learnt more about the vampire the battle thing going on, and then still had like you find out more about Kingfisher and what happened with him in the maze. Maze,
like labyrinth thing.
Labyrinth, that's the word. And then same thing, but and then also them getting closer in their relationship, and he still takes her to the cottage where his mum was, and you can still have all that. It's just laid out in a different way that it makes it.
But then you add the witches to it, and then you're like, same thing, surprise, witches. Yeah. Like you would have already known all about that if she had a proper like history lesson.
But actually, if you're also thinking about that, another thing when you said it was like the Quicksilver fix was convenient. The witches were convenient.
Oh,
exactly.
Because that's how they healed
exactly
Evelyn. I only just thought about that.
It was
a very
much
convenient
a book
plot point.
where the plot happens to her rather than she did anything to drive the plot. In my opinion.
Yeah, it was a bit of a plot-driven book.
It was a very much just like things just happen because they need to.
I need this. Here you go.
Yeah.
It's like she had a genie that was just like, da-da.
I mean, if that happens in book 2, we called it.
But
look, if we go into book 2 and it's the same, like I won't be mad, but like at least we know what to expect. You're not going in with, because what I read was not at all what I was expecting from all the reviews and everything I'd heard. Like I was like I've mentioned, I didn't hate it. I had a great time reading this book. I had a lot of fun, but it's nowhere near the story I thought I was going to get.
Yeah.
Like I expected Faye. I get that.
But did you expect vampires?
Absolutely not. But like, and then I actually remember reading it going, no, that kind of makes sense because Fae have fangs and vampires have fangs, so blood drinking kind of makes sense. And then it was also, but it kind of doesn't.
Like, okay, we need a new point where Saeris needs to become the queen soon. So, all right, Evelyn, let's just get you kidnapped and hooked onto the drugs. Like,
but
how did you even get your hands on her? And that wasn't described. Or like it wasn't described until the end. Yeah, her dad.
Yeah, till the end.
But like it was like that plot just came out of nowhere as well. Or like the fact that Saeris can wield a sword. Like, oh, we need to explain why this happened. So randomly in an emotional conversation, some guys trained me because my mother was killed and they needed.
They were like part of the rebellion and stayed in my house.
Like you have not hinted once to the rebellions and all that stuff.
No,
a little.
It wasn't a lot.
Yeah,
it probably wasn't enough. It probably should have been fleshed out a bit more.
Yeah, but it was like told in the fact that
when it was convenient.
When it was convenient, and also that like she's been training for so long and she's doing this. We haven't seen any of that before, even though we've spent a good amount of time in the desert realm. And also when she has the fight with the guards and stuff, like you could have wielded her sword then and like shown us that she has these kind of abilities. It just came up later and we were like, okay, explain it. So again, what just happens to her,
especially when the book opens with her being like literally
there were so many
held...
points where she could have had a fight.
No, but so the book opens up and she's being confronted by a guard, literally held by the throat like this up against the wall, being choked, and she doesn't really fight back. Like, she kind of fights back, but not really. But then she's fighting Fae soldiers or vampire soldiers that are stronger than that,
and she's winning.
Yeah, but so because I actually think I would have preferred a little bit of a training montage with her and Kingfisher.
I agree.
Because that would have been some really nice tension. With the whole, like, the funny thing, like, gonna hold your sword right, and you do this. And then at one point, Carrion could have been like, I'll teach you. And then he comes and goes, get the fuck out of my way, I teach her. Like, type of thing.
Yeah, because he's smart.
Because that type of stuff, like, that would have been really good for their relationship as well.
Zayden and Violet.
Kind of, yeah. So the plot twist at the very end with I called them the 3 evil triplets.
The triumvirate. Is that how you say it?
I don't know, but they're brother and sisters, brothers and sister. They're like 3 evil triplets.
She was so unfazed when one of them died. She was like, "Oh no, let me run away."
Bye.
That's actually pause the point on going on what I liked about them. He died off really felt like way too quick. Like you introduced the 3 bad guys. No, but it was like announced that they're all siblings and that they're all 3 evil rulers, rather than like, oh, you have to come and like deal with all of them. It was like, hey, we'll just knock that one off, and now you've only got to deal with 2, and then the rest of them scampered off, and I'm like,
like the queen wasn't gonna fight because she was like, I'm too pretty to fight. So
she just left.
I need my golden soldiers. Anyway, but I really liked the fact that in the end, the 3 because obviously the queen was a bitch, tried to kill her, and then the king, Fae King, was a real a-hole. And like you initially kind of like, oh, he's just a dick. Like he's like he's the
but
king.
he wasn't
he's a dick,
put out to be a villain.
and he does and he's just him and Kingfisher don't get along. And you kind of learn about the fact that obviously like the king married Kingfisher's mum and blah blah blah, didn't want Kingfisher around. And you kind of okay, it's just like it's family tension. It's meant to be like a family drama thing. But then it's like no, next minute
He's the villain.
he a bad guy too. And they've actually been like, you know, manipulating everything so they can be in power, and that they overthrew the previous crown, and they're all like, you know, all evil. And then I just really liked that aspect, that it kind of drew everything together, and you kind of went, so it's not really three evil, it's one evil family that have been manipulating everything all
together.
along. And really, it's not just one, like they're not, because obviously they were always fighting
it's like
the
price
war.
fixing.
Well, then also,
Like
if
three
you look at the
corporations
war,
getting together,
Yeah.
fixing your prices, but all the audience thinks they're three different companies.
well, then if you look at the whole war scenario between
You tell her
Kingfisher's
working-
army
Yes.
and the vampires, well, of course, the Fey King's not going to support them. It's his brother they're fighting. He wants them occupied so he can fuck up what he wants. Well, he can manipulate everything else. And they are to be occupied trying
With
to
this
defend
war.
them from these vampires when there's really no danger because it's all manipulated. And
But-
it means that their whole struggle, because they've been fighting for
Ages.
years.
Yeah.
And they're
Because
like,
they
we
were
have-
fighting
yeah,
before
yeah.
Kingfisher went in the before he went into the labyrinth, and he was stuck there. So all this has been for naught.
Exactly. If you don't mind if I interject. Because I messaged someone, and I was like, no, hang on. We were on the way back from the Geelong trip, and I hadn't finished Quicksilver yet. And I was saying, no, you guys did so good. Because for me, I find it really
I've been
helpful.
waiting since February, just saying.
Yeah, but I find it really helpful to talk things out, and that's how I process things better. So I was saying to you guys, I was like, this book is like, I'm here for the ride, I'm here for it, but it's very much task focused, as in no one's the bad guy. You know, once she figures out how to manipulate Quicksilver, she'll fix the portals for the king, and she'll help help Kingfisher with the Quicksilver rings, and then she can go home.
Yeah.
I was like, there's not really a bad guy. And you were like, no, there was the queen who tried to kill her. And I was like, okay, she was there for 5 chapters. I don't know if she counts as a big bad guy in the whole story. And both of you didn't say a word, and I took no hints from it.
This is why most of the time though, my response is just, I have no response because
No.
I can't, because I'm like, I want to discuss it in a way that you can still like, kind of like bounce your ideas off, and
Yeah.
I can be like, hey, that's really funny, like, or really clever.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, it would take me 2 seconds to write a spoiler, not realize it, and then I
Yes.
it for you.
No.
So I'm just like, nothing.
But props to
I
both.
just send the zip emoji.
No, but you did. You sent me that a few times.
Yes.
But like, props to both of you, because I wasn't thinking about, I was like, oh, there's no real bad guy, you know.
Yeah.
And then there was 3 of them, and they're all manipulating, and that's why Evelyn was so quickly on the other side of the wall with the vampires.
Yeah.
And I was like, but how did she get there?
Because her father is a dick.
Yeah, I was like, but how did she get there? And I was like, I guess it'll get explained. And then it did. And I was like, bro. It was good. It was a good.
You had something else you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. What I like, or what
Mm.
I'm interested to see for this series is like how, because we've been told that the gods can almost control the events down here. That is going to be a challenge for the author to make interesting for the rest of the books, because anything
Yes.
Kingfisher and Saeris do now, in my head, I'm just like, who manipulated it?
Mm-hmm.
Who
But
puppeteered it?
I may have misunderstood. Again, read this in February. Wasn't his whole thing like,
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
going to give you free reign? He goes, I'm not going to control anything. You can just, like, you fought your
but-
way back together type of thing.
Mm-hmm. So
Like, I'm not
got
going
off
to
you go.
interfere. But also, like, if you fuck it up, I'm not helping either. Like, you're on your own.
yeah. So people
Like, that's
can't
what
really
I thought it
manipulate
was. So there
them.
was going to be no, well, maybe it's from other gods, but not from him.
I don't believe him.
Oh, you thought
Not
he was
the god of honesty.
So you thought he was,
The god
True.
of chaos.
but he's making chaos by literally
And
going.
he's wiped out worlds.
and chance.
Yeah.
He's giving them like a chance, but like
I
well,
think they could negotiate deals and whatnot, like later
Maybe.
on.
I
But
don't know.
But also, could it not be chaotic to just basically go, well, this, like, to bring up the fact, like, I've been manipulating you.
I'm not
The
trying
only
to.
reason. No, so I'm
Yeah.
saying, like, I'm just kind of like off of what you've said, right?
Finish my point.
Sorry, you can go.
But what I'm saying is that with that God, like, and I know where you're gonna get to that, like, oh, chaos can just mean let them have their way kind of thing. But I just think that with the gods, like knowing that the gods can interject and can control, like if the series should use that, I'm not trying to justify, like not justify or like come up with like an answer or like what's gonna happen. Like I'm not trying to solve the riddle of the mystery now. It's just a point I'm putting forward that like I hope that the gods do have a play within everything that happens, because if they have the ability to literally wipe out world, there needs to be a reason why they're like taking a chance with this world or this story, or why the stakes are high for this one. Like what does it disrupt for the gods to make changes in their politics, in their hierarchy and all
like
that.
an actual reason behind why he's
'Cause why
decided to let them
pick
have
on
this
them.
chance. Yeah.
Or is it just plot convenience? Like
A
the other half of the book.
chance.
Well,
Good
I suppose it
chance.
would be interesting though if there is like,
But it would
it
make
could
it
be
very
something
interesting.
so petty, like because they're gods and we know gods are petty, that it could be so much as like a, well, this is
That's the thing.
like, this is a bet. I've made a bet with my brother, and this is what's going to see what happens.
Doesn't that make the
type-
whole thing so insignificant then?
Well, yeah, it could be.
Exactly. So the stakes I feel like has to be high for some reason. Otherwise, I would just not care, because I'm like, clearly they're just pawns for them. Like, no one cares about what happens to them when you've already added this subplot of like, like you've layered it. If that didn't exist, then it would be completely different.
Yeah.
But when you've added that layer of like this ominous presence of the literal gods of their realm, like what was the purpose? Why is that happening? Does that disrupt or change anything in their politics? Does that change anything in their hierarchy?
Yeah.
Are they doing this for a reason? And are Kingfisher and Saeris the key to solve their problems rather than just solving their own problems down here?
Yeah.
That's my thought process. Because if it's a petty reason, to me the book is just pointless then.
Yeah. But that's fine. I'm fine with a pointless book.
Throne of Glass
No,
quoted.
again, I'm not trying to
It's
say
not
that.
pointless.
No. I said Throne of Glass quoted.
No, that's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
okay.
That like, I'm not saying that we can come away from different.
I can't discuss that.
We can come away with different. Like that doesn't mean that you should like it anymore. Or
No,
any
no,
less.
no,
That's
yeah.
just my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
That's
But
my
I
opinion.
do think though with that whole, because in my kind of head I was like, well, if he's the god of chaos, and kind of what you said I was thinking, but in the sense maybe he's trying to intentionally sow more chaos, because I think it's kind of like, it's kind of like I suppose a theme that does tend to run along when gods are involved, is that when humanity or people are left up to make their own choices, they tend to make the wrong choices, and like, oh, there was some, I can't remember which one it's from. It's from something I read a very long time ago, where it was basically like, every time we've left it up to humanity, you kept having a world war. So like World War One, World War Two. That's when we step back and let go and look what you did to yourselves. So we're in control, so that doesn't keep occurring. And then the whole thing was about them like working out that humanity just needs to learn and grow. I don't remember what it's from.
Hang on. This gives me the 2010s dystopian vibes. So anything that's Hunger Games, Divergent, Maze Runner, particularly.
Well, yeah, kind of
vibes.
But in that sense of like, maybe it's
There's
something
a higher
similar.
power government trying to take control so that humans don't hurt other humans, but they hurt humans to hurt anyway.
Yeah, like
It
that's
gives
what
me
I'm
those
saying. Like
vibes.
maybe it's something like that kind of
Yeah,
the
that's
background
what I was
and what.
getting to. That
Yeah.
like the gods might have their own political system and whatnot happening upstairs that we just don't know about, and that's
Yeah.
what I hope has a lay, because you've opened that door now. So I always know that. That's
And they're
there.
real. You confirmed it.
Yeah, and you
exactly.
can't, and also it will need to be, because I feel like if it's not brought back to gods, like she's opened that element, it does need to be wrapped up or
Yes.
kept relevant, because otherwise, what was the whole point of that whole section
Exactly.
of her ending up there? And
Because,
then
for example, like with the Kindred Kurt saga, like yes, the gods have been know that they're real, but we know that it's coming. Like it's like we know it's gonna wrap up beautifully with the
Onyx Storm.
Empyrean
Yeah,
series.
yeah.
We also know that God's there, but she hasn't brought any of the gods to our world yet.
no, it's more just part of the belief system.
Yes.
Which I love. So she hasn't introduced the gods yet, or like
The
at all.
hints are there,
Yeah,
but they're not.
like maybe they're not gonna be introduced at all. I don't care. Way. Still gonna read it, still enjoy it.
But
But that
book,
way, like it keeps the problem centered to here, keeps the stakes here, and that's what's most important to me when I'm reading. Because to me, like genuinely, like when they opened up that realm, I was like, if you don't make use of all of this, because like you were saying that I can't remember the point that you made, but it was something about like him given a chance and god of chaos and all that stuff. But I was like, he took away a chance in a way because he put her so far away just to see how events unfold. Like, he has taken away choices as well, and now he's giving free reign after altering the events. So there has to be a reason why he chose to do that with this world and destroyed the other ones instead.
And I'm curious, because you talk about like the different worlds and stuff. Is it like similar? Like, you know how you can kind of have the different worlds there, kind of if you look at the Marvel universe with the parallel worlds. Is it that type of parallel world where it's Saeris and Kingfisher?
Yeah.
But
it is
it that
and Kingfisher
over and over
together every single time.
Yeah, so it's more of a parallel world that's been on repeat, and he keeps going, not that one, nah, and then just going through.
Happened so many times that he's just deleted those worlds almost. Yeah, and that's why Kingfisher's mum kept seeing Saeris as a girl.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
But it wasn't until the god of chaos decided to decided to interject.
Did she have the pointy ears when she woke up as a vampire?
Yeah.
Did she? I don't remember.
Yeah, because they did that thing where to save her life, Kingfisher mated or something.
Oh, that's right. He bit her.
Or something like that. She became fate.
He drained her blood.
Yeah.
Also, they were fated mates. I think it's fairly obvious. Yeah. Especially when the god confirmed
with
it.
the god thing. He literally said,
the tattoos transferring. Like, if you...
I really liked that element. I thought that was a really cool element.
Yeah.
The fact that he's trans. And then he was like, oh, never mind. Just, like, don't worry about it. Like, there's nothing there. It's fine.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. It was a fae, like, love story. And, like, I love a fae love story. And you kind of get used to...
a love story.
Yeah. Well, like, you kind of get used to what kind of tropes there are within that. But then there's also, like, new things. And I was like, I want that to be explained. It wasn't quite exactly what you thought. Anyway. Yeah. I thought it was a really interesting take. But...
I agree.
Cool.
Yeah, so I did really enjoy this book. There would be a few things that I would change, more in plotting and setting up for a series.
Yes.
I don't know. Favorite part was when Carrion named his sword Simon.
That was Carrion. I do love that. Very Carrion.
Yes, that was probably one of my favorite moments of all time from the book. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Not bad. Like, not bad. But again, I think it has a lot of potential. I want the world to be more fleshed out. Hopefully I'll get some of that in the next book and a bit more thorough world building, not just sake for convenience sake. Yeah, that's my thoughts. 4 out of 5. I will come back and finish the series. I will recommend, but I would recommend Throne of Glass first.
I think that would make me dislike Quicksilver too much.
Yeah, you should read.
We will finish Quicksilver series whenever that, and then you can finally get through Throne of Glass.
Yeah. My thoughts on the book. I will read the next book because I just want to see if there's more plot on the gods and stuff, because I found that part really interesting. I actually really enjoyed that 20 pages of the book a lot.
Legit.
Towards the end, which was after everything happened. But I'll give this book another fair chance, but if you like fantasy and you're starting off with fantasy, that's not the book I would recommend. There's much better ones to get into. Anyway, speaking of
it's
Quicksilver,
very romantic-y.
Yeah.
But not heavy on fantasy vibes.
Which
like
one?
No, Quicksilver.
Yeah.
I feel like as in it's not fully fleshed out fantasy. It's more romantasy.
It's just something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I rate this book. I first rated it like 2.5, but now I'm rating it 3 because I do want to see how the god thing turns out to be. But depending on the next book, the rating can either go up or down accordingly. Yep, that's all.
Well, I think again for like the third time, I loved this book.
Yeah,
it was a vibe. I had fun, and it was also after I jumped into it from a book I wasn't enjoying. I think I read it after I read
A Deadly Education?
No, it was before that. It was February.
Read it soon after Throne of Glass, but there would have been something
so
in between.
I read Throne of Glass, and then I finished off like Dove and Serpent series.
Yeah.
And I hated that series so much.
Yeah.
Like I think I hated that more than I hated the Deadly Education. And then I read this, and so this was like at the time what I needed.
Yeah, I remember you saying like, I've got a book hangover from this book, and after I finished it, I was like,
But I think it's
Why?
because of when I read
Yeah.
it. Like, if
Yeah.
I was to read it now, it was very different.
Yeah.
But like when I read it, the timing and everything, I had fun. I loved it because
Yeah.
it was what I needed. I was like emotionally wrecked at the end of it because I was just like, so much happened. I had no one
Yeah.
to talk to about it. I couldn't decompress. Even like I didn't have like, I feel like if I hadn't had Jazzy to talk about when I finished the Throne of Glass series, I would have
Yeah.
been like out of reading. Like my reading like craze this year would not have happened if I couldn't have decompressed it with you. And I didn't have anyone to decompress this with, and I was loving it so much, and I had no one to talk to it about, and I was just like, I'm just like, someone read it, please.
And so
And
we
it's
read
taken
it.
them till now. But besides the point,
Good reason.
Yeah.
look, it was a good time, a fun
Yeah.
time. It was ridiculous in some places. The smut was a bit funny, but also kind of hot in other places as well. Like there were, again, great one-liners, like introducing you to all 7 gods. But also Carrion, just Carrion. He's the love of my life, and I love him so much. Which just made me give it a 5 stars. So yeah, it's a 5-star vibe read, not
That's
a quality. 5-star vibe.
Oh yeah. Definitely a vibe read.
Yep. If I was to reread it, it'd probably be a very different experience.
Yeah.
But also, I probably think rereading it probably would be a good thing because I feel like I probably missed some stuff because there is a lot. Like, it's a big book.
I'm gonna listen to the audiobook on 3 times speed.
I'm just gonna watch someone's recap. Surely.
Well, yeah.
Surely there'll be a
probably.
recap out there.
I don't have
Just read my
time for
notes.
reread those at the moment. I've got so many other things I want to read.
Yeah.
Just
'cause
read
I'm
my
like,
review.
I've
20
read-
pages
Done.
of.
Done.
Thank you for watching, guys. That was our thoughts on Quicksilver. We hope you have enjoyed. This was our first book where we actually had like differing opinions on the book, in the sense that we haven't all agreed on like having a very similar rating in the end, like 5, 4, 3,
So
which
it's
gives
4.
us an overall 4.
Yeah.
But like we had that different like over the spectrum of what we thought about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good because I feel like a lot of the time, why are you laughing?
No. Yeah.
Because a lot of the time I feel like, well, so far we've pretty much had very similar vibes with each book. Like we've either liked it together or we've disliked it together or we've loved it together, whatever it may be. So I think it's nice to see that we do actually have differing opinions.
Yeah.
And it also gives a balance for those who did love the book versus those who didn't enjoy it or who were in the middle. But overall, I think we had fun.
It was a good book.
It was a good conversation. We went on some major rants today.
Yes.
More than once. Hey, it wasn't supernatural though this time.
I mean, it got brought up at some point.
did.
I'll bring it up.
No, you did. You talked about vampires.
Yeah, it did get brought up. But no, I feel like this
It wasn't a
today was Throne of Glass was our tangent of
Yeah.
choice. But anyway, again, thank you for watching. Make sure you liked the video if you enjoyed. If you want to find us on other platforms, our links are on our link tree in the bio. And we will see you next time with another video. So thanks for stopping in. Bye.
Bye.